G'day, it's Heath here from pickinglessons.com. The Connaughtman's Rambles. This is a great tune in the key of D. We're in 6/8 time, it's a jig. We're playing in second position and we're also playing in a D position up the neck, fifth position as well. So this is a great tune to work on for your right hand, 6/8 time and the jig time, but also for the left hand working out of those positions. So in a moment we're going to take a look at part A of the tune here in this lesson and discuss those positions. But if you head to pickinglessons.com, you'll be able to get yourself a copy of the tablature that we'll be working through, and you'll also find part B of the lesson where we break down part B of the tune. It's a two-parter in the members section there. So pickinglessons.com. Let's start out with the part A nice and slow. We'll play through it and then we'll break down and have a look at the techniques we need to be able to play the tune. 1 and 2 and Okay, so there's part A. So we are in the key of D. We're actually working out of this D position to kick us off for the melody. So there's our D chord there. There's the extension of the D triad. Later on we're playing this D triad position up the neck, but that's in part B. So in part A, we're really playing out of the D position. And second position basically means that our first finger starts at fret 2 and each finger takes its fret after that. And that's our guide for where those fingers need to be. There's nothing in the first fret, so we don't want to waste our first finger. We bring it across. 6/8 time. So 6/8 time basically means that we have 2 beats in the measure, and each beat has 3/8 notes attached to it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the 6/8 time signature, and that's where the pulse lies, and that's what we do for a jig, and this is certainly a jig. This D position we're working out of there, so that's our third finger on the F sharp, our first finger on the A, and our second finger on the D. You can hold that chord if you wish for the first part of the melody. For example, now depending on the guitar you're playing, you might find that comfortable, maybe not. You don't have to hold those fingers down as one chord. You can kind of build your chord, but the idea is that that's what we're working around. And then we'll work into this higher portion of that D chord as well. So our finger choice is, again, based on the position we're playing in, but also having an idea of that chordal position will help kind of guide you through. So I'll give you a quick demonstration of the first few measures and just have a look at how I use my fingers. So that's my kind of template, but I don't necessarily hold it. Could you notice that my fingers are just hanging out around those positions? I know where those notes are going to be, and they're built around that chord. So that's what we're going to have a look at now. So that third finger on the F sharp kicks us off to the first finger on the A. I'd suggest holding both of those. You don't have to, but it's kind of nice to hear that harmony combined together, those two notes, but also it does make it pretty easy for the left hand when you do that. So F sharp to A. Now right hand though, down, up, down. Right hand is really important in a jig. There are several ways of going about it, but for this lesson we're going to have a look at playing a very standard approach for the picking. So down, up, down, up, down. Remember, we have 6/8 notes to the measure with 2 pulses. We want to emphasize the pulse, and so what happens if we alternate down, up, down for the first 3, but we want to emphasize the next beat, so down, up, down as well. So what we end up having is a continual down, up, down, up, down, up, down rhythm for the right hand, which you can practice just like this. Just block those strings out. Down, up, down, up, down. And so those double downs that we get on the movement to the next beat, that's the challenging part when we get up to tempo. And when the melody moves to different strings and different positions as well, that's challenging, but that's where we want to try and be. Let's build that over the first measure. So second half of that measure was that D back to the A. And you can hold those fingers down there as well. So first finger is a bit of a central point here. So we have the F sharp to the A, then the D back to the A. If you wish, you can hold them down, all 3 fingers down, but right hand, down, up, down, up, down. Repeat with me. Follow the pulse, down, up, down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 and So that's where our right hand needs to be. So as we move through a little quicker, it really helps emphasize that pulse and really get that feel that we want for this jig. But it's also a challenging technique, but that's how we're going to apply the right hand all the way through the tune. So let's move on through. We're staying in the same position, second measure. We're working with that third finger to the B. Up to the D and running down the A. Right hand, down, up, down, down, just like we spoke about. For a moment, let's practice measures 1 and 2, because that will kind of help us get into a nice routine for the right hand. And again, we're working out of this second position around that D chord. Ready, and 1. Let's have another go. Ready, and down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. Notice that I emphasize that pulse a little bit stronger there too, so that will start to happen pretty naturally when we start to get the feel for this jig. And that's why we're picking it in this particular pattern. Let's move on. Measure 3. We're moving up the neck. Start on that F sharp, kind of like the beginning, but then to the D, to the F sharp, to the E. Those 3 notes, down, up, down. So changing strings, moving to the higher string, still follow the same pattern, down, up, down. So measure 3. All the pickings marked in the tablature, left hand position as well, so do keep an eye on that. Measure 4. That one's kind of staying on the 2 strings there, so down, up, down, down, up, down, and that kind of works in a really convenient way just for that melodic passage, so that's cool. For a moment, let's have a look at the first 4 measures. We'll practice those. Do really try and keep an eye on what you're doing with your left hand position, but also the technique for the right hand we've been discussing. Measures 1 through 4, not too fast. 1 and 2 and Okay, so stop and practice that up. Let's have a look at the second half of this tune. So like a lot of fiddle tunes, this is an 8 measure that repeats for part A. So measure 5 is the same as the beginning. Very typical. Measure 6. That is a little variation where we're going to run up the neck there. So the B, the A, the B, D, E, F sharp. Picking pattern follows the same pattern. Up, down, down, up, down. Then into our final 2 measures before we hit the repeat. Now this will be the same in part B, so that's a bonus. We learn it once and we've got it. Picking is going to stay the same throughout, 6 notes per measure. Measure 8 is like measure 4, so there's a bonus. Let's have a look at measure 7. Measure 7, up, down, down, up, down. Those ones potentially are more challenging. Second half of that measure, down on the D, up on a different string, F sharp, and then down on the E. Just keep an eye on it, keep it consistent, that's the main thing. So measure 7, measure 8, ready, and hit the repeat, go back to the beginning, play it through again. Second time through, we do have an alternate ending, so we don't play measure 8, we play a different measure in place of that to get us into part B. We'll discuss that in the next part of this lesson. For the moment, practice up these first 8 measures. Get through practicing it through twice. Once you get to know it, keep it slow, watch the picking. This is a great exercise if you're not comfortable with the picking approach that we've been using. Just block those strings out and get the down, up, down, down, up, down. Try to feel the pulse. 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and so on. Left hand, just be comfortable with the position, but realistically it is just working out of what we'll kind of get used to for a D chord. Second position, first finger up a second fret, each finger takes its fret after that. Okay, pickinglessons.com. We're going to continue this in part B in the member section there, but you can also get the tablature so you can keep working through it as well. So pickinglessons.com, I'll see you there.